in the couple of guys that you've named during this, episode, like you haven't named like the big stars. You know what I'm saying? And that's to that point. Like I kind of am the same way. Like I like to look at who is kind of being undervalued by the market just because they're not like a huge name, but they, Tyrese Maxey, bro, like if you were betting his overs on the playoffs as far as points, he was going nuts. Like he was scoring a lot of points in the playoffs in random games. They're random spots for sure, but it's because you don't expect him to be the guy. They got Embiid there, they got Harden there. You know what I'm saying? It would be random games where he would show up with like 25 plus points. I think he went off for like 31 game in the playoffs last year. But and then Jaylen Brown, of course, he's a baller, but like, we're looking at Tatum to be the guy there. I feel like you can definitely cash on trying to find guys who are undervalued as opposed to like trying to bet on the Kevin Durant's, trying to bet on the, the LeBron Jameses. They're going to be too overly priced or overly valued. Like their points are going to be sitting at 28, 29 when it's like, yeah, those guys can do it, but it's going to take like a lot out of them to do that. You know what I'm saying? Where you can get a Tyrese Maxey, his over is probably going to be like 14, 15 points. You know what I'm saying? So I really like that. But so do you feel like, I guess another question I have for you is, when it comes to some of do you have like a favorite person to bet on? Like, have you found like this guy hasn't let me down? Or I mean, of course, everybody's gonna let you down at some point. But like, have you found like these certain guys that it's like I can lean on them? You know what I mean?
I think it's more situational, right? Like, I think that's the one thing about like handicapping sports that people don't take into consideration. They just take the same player over and over and over and over and over again. And basketball is situational. If I know that a player is going to be needed more in that given spot, then I'm more inclined to take that over, right? And
so how you evaluate someone's need?
How I evaluate their need?
Yeah, how do you evaluate like this guy's going to be needed this game versus he might not be needed that game?
Matchup, rest advantage, right? Like, does this player typically do well on the second night of back-to-backs, right? Will he be needed? So for example, I'll give you an example. Let's just say that the Golden State Warriors are traveling to Indiana to play the Indiana Pacers. There's no way possible I'm gonna take Steph Curry points over, because I don't think that he's going to be needed. The Pacers defense is horrendous, is absolute trash. And I don't think Steph's going to need to go off for 35 points. So it's really hard for me to take Steph on a given night to go over his point prop against the Indiana Pacers, when that could be a night that anybody off the bench could go off, right? That could be a night that Kuminga goes off, or a guy like Kevon Looney goes off, right? Especially if, Miles Turner isn't playing. So when I say if that player is needed, I'm talking about primetime matchup. Everybody got their popcorn ready. And the psychology behind it, I was listening to an interview with Draymond the other day, and Draymond was saying like, yo, he was actually on the shop with LeBron. He was saying like, yo, it's really hard to get up for these teams that are just trash. Like, that's what he said. He was like, you know what I mean? Like, bro, who wants to go play Indiana on a Tuesday night? Like, you know what I mean? Like, bro, like, we're going to win by 20. And if we don't, it's because we didn't take them serious. You know what I mean? So, like, that's what I mean. Like, is that player necessarily going to be needed, right? And it might not be that way, right? Like I said, you got as many teams as we have, like, on the championship contending level, which I think is a lot, right? I think we all can name like, at least 3 teams that could win it all on both sides. We also got teams that's going to be in the running for Victor Wembanyama, right? Like, it's probably more teams that's down there. San Antonio Spurs this year, the Charlotte Hornets, LaMelo just got banged up with that ankle injury. It's going to be some teams that's just, they already in the sweepstakes for trying to lose the most games, right? And it's hard for these upper echelon teams to get up for games like that, when you just know you're better. And honestly, this game don't mean nothing anyway, right? Like, of course we want to win, but if we win by 1 or if we win by 5, even though the spread has us winning by 12, like, we cool with that. 2-possession game, we win. We cool with that.
Early.